Osho, a very interesting, very controversial, still very relevant personality. If you have heard about him, if you are interested to know more about him, this is the video for it. As today we have been joined by Ma Anand Sheela. She was the right hand of Bhagwan Rajneesh or Osho. In this video, we have talked in depth about Rajneeshpuram, Osho's philosophy, and behind the scenes of each and everything going on in his life. So I would urge you to watch this whole video. It's pretty interesting, believe you me. If I know the video gets a bit longer, so I would urge you to watch it in 1.5x or 2x, but please watch the whole video. Please watch the whole video moving forward. Okay, cheers. Today we have Ma Anand Sheela with us. First of all, ma'am, welcome to the show. I'm really enthralled to have you here. Your personality is something which we have seen as a very big persona, and today we are here to explore it more. I'm very excited. So let's begin with the first question. As everyone know, ma'am, that you and Osho, Rajneesh, had a great connection, and you all went through a lot together. So that is why we are here today. My first question to you is about Osho itself. He was seen as a very controversial figure, and he was also seen as a very materialistic guru. Some people used to call him also a con man and stuff. Do you feel a guru should be materialistic?
For me, guru is where you learn, who is worthy of teaching you, and where you understand your life through the teachings is a guru. For me, guru is someone you trust and someone who respects your trust.
But as the legacy of the gurus say, we start from Satyuga and all, and we see that they are in a form where they don't have a lot of money, but a lot of knowledge. When it comes to Osho, it was very different. He used to have Rolls Royce, he used to have big, expensive watches, and a lot of wealth around him. A lot of rich people used to follow him. Even he himself called once that I'm a rich man's guru. So, do you feel that his philosophy somehow, was relating only to the rich people, or was it meant for everyone?
See, no philosophy is based on poverty or richness. Philosophy is normally the desire to know how this world functions. Desire to
True.
know what is it all about. Everybody is focusing on the wealth of Bhagwan, but nobody is focusing on the knowledge, the incredible courage this man has to talk about life, life's issues, human psychology, human sexuality, its perversion, and he gives also solution how you can step out of it.
Sure. So, as I mentioned in the video, in the beginning of the video, that Bhagwan and you were pretty close, and you were practically around him all the time, and you knew him in and out. I would like to know how it all started and why did he chose you? He must have had a lot of devotees around him. Then why you?
Bhagwan and I spent 14 years in beautiful moments of my life, beautiful moments of his life we shared. I was introduced to Bhagwan through my father. Why Bhagwan chose me? it is something you have to ask Bhagwan.
Pretty cheeky, pretty cheeky.
But he has spoken number of times about his choice in public discourses.
True.
And he apparently, I was compatible to his needs in the moment. What he saw in an individual for his secretary, I had it, I assume. Or he saw the potential in me.
Very true.
And I was ready. I was ready for an adventure. So my readiness also helps the choice.
So, from your perspective, what did you see in him? How, what was the thing which pulled you towards him?
I fell in love with the man. It was the man of my dream, or he had everything that I would want in a man. When I fell in love with him, I felt, if death comes today, I am ready for it. I have lived life.
Wow,
I was only 21-year-old.
exactly.
And I
Beautiful.
still feel the same.
I think he succeeded being a man. Moving forward. Yes. Moving forward, ma'am, you saw him turning from Rajneesh to Osho, right? The whole trajectory you saw.
I didn't see him from Rajneesh to Osho. I saw him from Bhagwan to Bhagwan. I left him when he was still Bhagwan.
Okay. Ma'am, his trajectory we understand, but I would like to know about the transformation which you went through, because you also became Ma Sheela, right? So I would like to know how it transformed your life. What were the changes which happened around you? What was the transformation like?
Ma Anand Sheela was a name given by Bhagwan to me at time of initiation, when I took sannyas. And that was when I was 21, 22 years old. So title of Ma was given to all Bhagwan's female sannyasins, and title of Swami was given to all male sannyasins. But now, in my old age, people call me Ma Sheela or Mataji. There is only one transformation, and that is my age.
True. I can see the fearlessness you had then and now you even have it. Because even when I was born, it all happened before that. So it's very to me it's very shocking, because the transformation, the things around Osho is very different. Even today he's relevant, right? So that is why I want to know about his philosophy. What is that he had which still makes him relevant? What do you think that Osho had? Was he a great philosopher? Was he some guru which with great mind? What was he which makes him relevant today?
I did not look for a guru. I didn't even understand the concept of guru in the term that I understand today. I wasn't seeking spirituality. I wasn't seeking meditation. I had not heard of meditation. I say that way, not heard. I just knew the word meditation, but it had no meaning in my life then. I was a young girl full of energy and adventurous because fearlessness was taught to me by my father, mother. So, Guru, as I understand today, that understanding I didn't have it then. And as I say, I fell in love with him. And falling in love made me one with him. I trusted him. I felt if he asks me to do something, that is because he sees potential in me. And if he sees potential in me, then it is my fate. I must go and make it possible. That much love and trust I had in him. I had no doubts about him.
Ma'am, let's talk about Rajneeshpuram because, as you mentioned, that you would, you know, go on and went on to do anything what he wanted you to do, and that is Rajneeshpuram. Rajneeshpuram is a classic example of what you just said. I would like you, to let us know where did the concept of Rajneeshpuram came? How did it all started? Why did you choose Oregon kind of a state in USA to go and shift there and create something of your own, a different kind of a world?
It all came from a need. And one says, need is a mother of invention. And that's how Rajneeshpuram was invented. From crisis. We were in Pune. We had wonderful ashram, Rajneesh ashram in Pune. There were hundreds of thousands of people were coming to visit Bhagwan, listen to him on a daily basis. And this became a problem. There were not enough spaces in the city for them to stay. Ashram could not provide anybody to take in and offer them residence. So Bhagwan said, we must create a community of our own where we have space and we can invite our guests, meaning all these thousands of people were coming to listen to him on a daily basis. So we looked for a land or buildings. They are clustered together in India. It was a time of emergency. We couldn't find it. One day, I happened to mention to Bhagwan, why don't we go to US? Because US, I'm sure we will find land. I went to school in US in 60s, late 60s, early 70s. And we were proud of being in US for its constitution. And I come from a time of flower power, so freedom of thought was respected, plus from a parent who had taught us to be free from childhood. And
So
I said Constitution would allow us. So Bhagwan said, okay, Sheela, you arrange from one day to the next. I arranged. He gave me at first 3 months or 2 months, and then it became 6 weeks, and I had to get a facility ready for him in US to bring him from here. And it was a huge diamond to carry from India to US. And that responsibility he assigned me, at first I was overwhelmed. But then I said, if he tells me to do it, who am I to say no? He sees my potential. In front of him, I am transparent. And we arranged it. We arrived in New Jersey. We got him settled. And then next day or the next week, I went out to look for a land. Next day I left, and in 1 week I found him the land where we created Rajneeshpuram. Now you go ahead and ask question, and I will continue about Rajneeshpuram.
Sure, sure. Ma'am, the whole project was very huge, you know. It needed a lot of money, the whole structure, the infrastructure, and of course, lot of planning. A lot of people must have connected with you. So, where did the funds come from, and how did it all happen? How did you all manage? Because it was USA, it was a different currency with different ball game altogether. You know, it meant a lot of money. So how did it all happen? Where did the funds come from for the money, for the Rajneeshpuram?
When you have seen Wild Wild Country and have seen raw footage of hard work, that's where money comes. Hard work,
Nice answer, yeah.
lot of love and positivity towards Bhagwan, conviction of building a community for our own stay where we would feel good and comfortable. That conviction, people poor who had plenty with open hearts. I ask you a question, or I make a statement, however way you want to say it. Every 4 years in US, presidential elections come. And the parties collect amount of money just to fight elections. Nobody asks them, where do you get your money? But when Bhagwan and his community creates Rajneeshpuram, then everybody wants to know, where does the money come from? There has to be a thought, at least from Indian population, to move deeper than money. And that is Bhagwan's knowledge. Nobody asks me, where does this knowledge come, what he had? Nobody asks me, how did he attract whole world to him. But where did he get the money? Why does he have jewelry? Please look up all your temples. They have much more jewelry for their gods than my God Bhagwan.
That Bhagwan Rajneesh was known for breaking the stereotypes whenever he talked about either money or the sexual desires of people or anything else. He was a great philosopher when he used to talk. I was listening to him about hell and heaven, and he mentioned that if I would choose to be a sinner or a saint, I would choose to be a sinner, and that's a very stereotypic, breaking the stereotype. That's not stereotypical at all. So I would like to know, do you believe that what he did in Rajneeshpuram, because it was breaking the stereotypes, it was being targeted?
Whenever Bhagwan has spoken, he has spoken for human growth, human intelligence, and he has tried to break the tradition. To break the tradition requires a lot of courage, because masses feel comfortable in their tradition. They don't have to grow. And Bhagwan was a man for growth. I have never heard Bhagwan speak that was not to break tradition.
So what he mentions there, do you feel it he was targeted because he was challenging the traditional way, the conventional way? Rajneeshpuram was targeted because of it. Do you feel that?
Rajneeshpuram was targeted because we were in a Christian belt. The land it was a dead land. There was nothing growing except juniper trees and some dry grass. The people who were living around Rajneeshpuram were 19 miles away. The first neighbor, 19 miles away. It's not a nearby.
Of course.
But it was an old retired communities. People were almost fossil, old. And they did not like this non-Christian people coming in their orange robes and creating a city there or creating a community there. They had no right for such wishes. But that is norm. I came before you. That's a cowboy mentality. I shoot anybody who comes after me.
So basically, you feel it was more related to the religion part rather than related to the stereotypes which were being broken. It was more Hinduism or the philosophical part of the Hinduism versus Christianity. They were a bit uncomfortable.
What they didn't understand, that large population of Bhagwan was not Indians. They were all Westerners, white-skinned people. They had no logic. If you look for logic in this situation, you will get muddled up because reality is far away from it.
No, but one logic which I find maybe that probably because they thought as white people or white black American people started following Bhagwan Osho, they thought that they are being somewhere harmed. The Christianity, the church might get challenged because you for probably making them either atheist or drawing towards Hinduism rather than letting them in their own faith. Do you
No,
think it
but
was something like
we were never interested in going to their church or converting anybody. We were busy digging up with our heavy machines to build our houses, our community. Who had the time?
great? So moving forward about more deeper into the Rajneeshpuram part, I think you know where this is leading towards. It was known also, or it was infamous about all the sexual practices going on in Rajneeshpuram. It was being shown as if a place where anyone can have sex with anyone and things like that came out of it. So what was the reality? Because now you are here and the world would like to know the reality. What was going on inside?
14 years I lived in Bhagwan's community.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as a young, beautiful woman, yeah, not just me, on my team, all Bhagwan sannyasins, they were all young, beautiful people. Sexuality is normal. If you don't have sexuality in your youth, when are you going to have it? Bhagwan's method of dealing with sexuality is not to taboo sexuality, but enjoy it so that you don't become perverse.
Okay.
You don't become psychotic because of your sexuality. And there was nothing sinful happening, what doesn't happen every day in every house. All over the world, every house has sexual episode. Some houses are perverse, aggressive towards one another. No. In our community, we did not have such ugly events. Entered, spent time together with our lovers. It was a sacred feeling. You are with someone because you enjoy being with them. It was not forced upon us by tradition or by command of the other partner. Only consensuous sex. When both partners are willing, they can enjoy.
But ma'am, there were rumors, so-called rumors, that people used to gather around nude in front of a whole gathering of nude people were used to be there, and they probably used to dance in a room. They were there. There were such theories that in a room people used to gather all nude, and then they even used to abuse rather some substance also. So how true are these stories? Are they just rumors, stories, proper bullshit, or does these things have any
You
material?
are a young man. Why waste in such stupid gossip? When you hear such stories, that's like a cafe clutch. When few women who don't have anything to do to sit together and they ruin the community and they don't understand anything, but they just want to talk nonsense. Bhagwan had modern psychology and its methods available for Western world. And these therapy groups, the scene you describe comes from a therapy group called encounter groups. This encounter group, under protected room, they allow a person to release their burdensome feelings out. In these burdensome feelings, some people feel burdened with their clothing and they remove their clothing. But it is a therapy session event, nobody disturbs them. There was nothing sinister. And nowadays, clinical psychology uses some of these methods. Often,
Okay.
the mental psychological illnesses, mental illnesses, are reason of oppression.
So basically, these were therapy sessions, you know, and then, but like it was sexual in nature, or do they really use some substance also for this the therapy session?
My friend, I tell you, Rahul, look at modern women's clothing. That is very sexual. More sexual than what can happen in a therapy group.
Great. Okay. You have kept your point forward, and I respect it, ma'am, that you chose to speak on it and you were very honest about it. So moving forward, ma'am, you were you were seen as the army chief because you went on to make your own army, right? And that is not normal, to be honest. A personality, and in that era, a female making her own army, leading it, that was very courageous to do also. But what led you to make your own army? What was the need of making your own army and then lead it?
There was no old army, new army, or any army. We were attacked by the locals. Our ranch was set on fire 4 times. Kidnappers coming from California to kidnap Bhagwan and my daughter. These are the events for safety and security of the community, because the local government there was not ready to protect us. So we had to take care of our own. situation. Now, deterrent sometimes, just to let people know what you have, and they will stop or think twice about coming into our properties. It's like having a dog. We had legal weapons which are allowed under Constitution for self-protection. And these are sold legally in America all over. It is the same Christian fundamentalist who own the lobby for weapon sales in US. When we protect ourselves, they call it our army. When they go in school and shoot people, everyday shootings, that's a tragedy. But nobody does anything about it. The government has the power to do something about it. They don't do it. Innocent people get killed. It was not an army. It was simply protection for Bhagwan, protection for our community. And we were a city under the Constitution, and city have a right to have their police department. And we had our own police department. We didn't call it a police department, we call it a peace force to maintain peace. And there were no incidences.
Yeah. So, ma'am, I'm a bit curious about it. Why would you get threat calls? Why would Bhagwan be threatened? What was the main issue? Was US government threatened by you? Was deep state, as you mentioned, the weapon lobby? Were they threatened by you? Why Bhagwan was being targeted?
That was a Republican agenda. After Reagan, Republicans wanted Christian fundamentalist in their land. The others are second-class citizens. Others have no value. And they don't accept themselves to have a power. And Bhagwan was a powerful man. He said his mind. He was no coward.
Very true.
So these are imagination of the locals, fantasies in their life, nothing happens. And here suddenly comes all this wave of orange people with ability, with talent, without begging to somebody. It feels threatening to them. We were atypical, not a daily material.
Yeah. So we are almost in the last leg of talking about Rajneeshpuram, not the whole interview, but yeah. So last one of the last few questions on Rajneeshpuram is the FBI got involved, right? And we saw that they barged in, and you both had to escape. You and Bhagwan escaped, and then we saw that he was been after some time put into jail, and then he was harassed a lot. He was being shifted from one jail to another, and then he was meant to go through a lot. How do you see it? First of all, my first question would be, how did you escape? First of all, FBI got involved, how did you escape? And then how do you see the sufferings he had to go through, because they were trying to shift him, or they were shifting him from one jail to another? So the suffering.
First, I did not escape. 350, 400 sannyasins came to say goodbye to me at the airport. I flew out of Rajneeshpuram airport in a daylight. So that is my story. Then when Bhagwan left USA or Rajneeshpuram before he got arrested, I wasn't there, so I don't know what went on. After I left, Bhagwan was advised to speak against me by people who were around him, and he himself invited FBI to come in through a public statement. That's how FBI came in to the community. I served 39 months of imprisonment. When I came out, I have no connection with any of Rajneeshis or anybody. I live my life alone. When Bhagwan left Rajneeshpuram, left US after his arrest, I have just heard or read through journalists that no country accepted him because US demanded from these foreign countries not to give him a place. And Bhagwan returned back to Pune. And I have no contact with Pune, no contact with his movement. I live my life by myself, happily.
Yeah. Okay. So, Bhagwan Rajneesh or Osho is being seen as a very controversial figure. He was a great philosopher, one of the great philosophers, I feel. He is one of the most read people around. I heard that he had a great book of library because he used to read a lot of books. So probably he had a lot of knowledge, and you can, put light on it. But then today we know him as a very controversial figure. Do you feel that his image, what is there today, justifies his real personality?
I only see his real personality. I have no doubt about his knowledge, his ability that I told you already earlier in our conversation. He is controversial is because he's against establishment. He's against tradition. And person who can be in this way controversial as he is, to me, is a courageous man and a man of truth. That he is ready to take the whole world on his head with controversy. But he's not ready to bargain his truth. He's not a politician. And one should admire him for his honesty. That he worked hard in his life to break norms.
So basically, what I gather from this is his character was assassin because he was against the establishment.
His teachings are full of it. 110% of his teachings are breaking the norms and speaking for individual freedom.
Great. Yeah. Ma'am, one last question before we wrap this up. I heard you say in an interview that somehow, monogamy is not going to be that relevant in future, or the relationships between humans, you know, the partners, one partner won't be sufficient. What is your take on it? How do you see it?
My take on it is love is not sex, and sexuality is a bodily need. If both partners are consensuous, then enjoy it. By marriage, you don't become a slave of the other. True marriage is respect towards the other and allowing the other the freedom to live their life. That's my take. So I think maybe I won't live long enough to see men's life totally in freedom, enjoying sexuality without worrying about marriage or relationship. I won't see it maybe, but future may bring that.
But what I would like to present in front of you is, don't you think having multiple partners, because as you also mentioned that sex is a bodily need, maybe having multiple partners won't get you the emotional connect with any one of them, and then you might get into a realm where you might be sexually satisfied but emotionally you lose that connection, and you won't enjoy it, because when you're in love and with one person you are in that connection with that person. But when you are with multiple partners you might not have that one connection because none of them is feeling the same way for you. So, do you feel that connection gets lost, the emotional bond gets lost when it comes to multiple partners?
It is an individual choice. It is individual event, how individual sees itself. What is the training? And we have been trained to follow tradition, not to follow our own self. So we are already in a crisis, emotional crisis. I get at times on my Instagram messages that my family is pressuring me to marriage and I don't want to marry. Yeah, then please go and tell your family you don't want to marry. But they don't have the emotional courage to say that, because then family blackmails them emotionally about getting married or not. But these are the things that Bhagwan shows us the way to go with honesty forward. And if you are honest with your own desire, your own feelings, then maybe you are honest to others. And that can take the pressure of emotions down.
Indeed, indeed. Very well put. Very well put, ma'am. I must say that I really enjoyed this conversation. I hope you also did. And we managed to do what we supposed to do, and I'm really thankful you are here. I hope all the viewers also liked it. If you really liked it, put down a comment. If you feel there was any flaw, do let us know about that also. If you have any questions, please let us know in comments. Do subscribe, because I am seeing that a lot of viewers are coming and watching our videos, but they are not subscribing. So I request you guys to please subscribe the channel also. And I wish, ma'am, that I get to talk to you again and we have another such conversation, because I really liked it. It was wonderful speaking to you, ma'am. Thank you very much. You were here today.
Thank you very much, Rahul, for inviting me. I thank your viewers for taking time and listening to this conversation. I want to say one more thing, Rahul. I don't know where you are located, but uh, last 3 weeks of January and February, beginning weeks, I'm going to be in India.
Wow, great.
I will be most of the time in Vadodara,
Okay,
Gujarat.
great. I hope we meet. I hope we meet if we can plan up something.
Your
It's
viewers,
a
if
meet and
they
greet.
want to
Yeah,
also want to meet me, they're most welcome.
great, great. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for giving your time to us. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I'm going to log out.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
bye-bye.
Bye, ma'am.